Peter completely agrees with that translation that I just made. Acts 2:21. And it will be all who might ever name, claim, epikalesatai, the name of a Lord. He will be saved. Boom. All right, you just saw it. And this is what I love about Joseph Smith's definition of Mormonism. Joseph Smith claimed in his letter to Isaac Gallon while he was in Liberty Jail prison in Missouri, he defined the restored good news, Mormonism, as the right to accept what is plainly evident to one's mind with the highest degree of the evidence of the same. And I just want to emphasize right now that the word gospel, which off the top of my head I can't pronounce, but the Greek word for it, it's like angelo or something like that. But on a different video, I'll pronounce it correct and I'll provide all the evidence that the actual word gospel literally means authentic, verifiable information. That gospel is not a religious term, that it meant any news that is a valid data stream. And so I was offended for many months. As a matter of fact, I was offended over a year when I kept seeing Aberrant Publications' definition of gospel, and I don't have it right in front of me now, but they define it as valid data stream. And for the life of me, I couldn't understand why do they say that? And despite me studying it and it just something about it rubbed me the wrong way. And what I realized is that this cliche, gospel, is a evil word. And I really mean that the word gospel is an evil word in the way that it's used to denote a set of doctrines or a set of dogmas or a theology. So when the scriptures say the gospel belonging to Jesus Christ or a Jesus Christ, it means good information, solid information. So valid information is anything that someone says that is verifiable. And when Joseph Smith actually claimed that Mormonism is the restored good news by saying that it means that it's your right to accept what is plainly evident to your mind with the highest degree of evidence of the same, he's literally saying that Mormonism is the definition of the gospel as it originally always was known to be. And he is precise to the nail. He is hammering that down, and nobody in Christianity said that ever. And Joseph Smith brought it to light. He declared that the Book of Mormon is the restored good news, which means that there should be something in there that claims that is verifiable, is an actual claim that you can verify, that proves that it had to do with the information the apostles were talking about. And here is exactly that. Epikalesetai. He might name claim. This concept of name claiming is in the Book of Mormon 11 times. And it means to surname. So I'm going to read the definition together with the preposition epi, meaning on or upon, the verb epikaleo, meaning to call upon. This verb is used in the sense of to surname. And the passive voice indicates that surnames were rather nicknames by which folks had become known. More often, this verb is used in the sense of to call upon, someone's name. This does not simply describe the act of uttering someone's name, but rather the claiming of intimate kinship with that person and assuming that person's last name for oneself. Name claiming happened all the time in the Roman world. The famous historian Josephus, for instance, name claimed the name Flavius to demonstrate his patronage from Emperor Vespasian, who in turn name claimed the name Caesar in honor of Julius. So, the familiar idiom of calling upon the name of the Lord, Acts 2:21, Romans 10:12, 1 Corinthians 1:2, likewise, does not simply describe crying out the name of the deity, but rather claiming the deity's name as one's own surname, and thus claiming to be of his family. All right. Isn't this amazing? Isn't this absolutely mind-boggling? This is the gospel. This is the good news. And the Book of Mormon 11 times says to name claim the name of Christ, to take upon the name of Christ as our own name. And obviously, the Book of Mormon was not written in English. So it's not talking about the English name Jesus. It's not talking about the English word Christ. It's not talking about the English words Jesus Christ. But it is talking about Yahweh, because the reason Yahweh is a name of an Elohim is because anyone who is a member of this family is already one of the Elohim as a Yahweh. And you are already part of this family when you make the choice to surrender and acknowledge that you have been proclaimed the bad news, the incorrect news, the information that is not valid, that you have received a false gospel, a false flow of information. Once you surrender that and realize that the Jews in the book of Acts who crucified Jesus, Peter was saying, look, he is a Yahweh like you, and you crucified your brother. You crucified a child who came and died for your heirs. And this child of the same Father Yahweh, he died and was buried and rose again to give you the gift of coming into the direct consciousness of being a Yahweh. This Jesus, whom you crucified, God demonstrated that he is the everlasting Yahweh. His blood is family blood, and you shed that blood. And now I say unto you, repent and accept that you murdered a member of your own family. And therefore, when you enter the waters of baptism, you are saying, I shed this earthly identity and I take on myself the identity that belongs to all the Elohim. This is the message I preach to you today. This is the restored good news. Joseph Smith is the resurrection of this good news. And you are a part of it. You